The question was that if, like Aadhaar and UPI, that has gone into a billion people's life, adopted at scale, what can we do in terms of additionally, and even DigiLocker and so on. I think much of that has done pretty good job. But what can we do with respect to education, skilling, healthcare, and much to do. Much other work is going on. Yeah, I think these are the questions. You are here for two different purposes, if I understand correctly. One main purpose is to be really hands-on on Sunbird. Sunbird is a large set of building blocks. I think yesterday you had some talks. I saw your photograph on the Slack channel. So I suppose you had a bunch of introductions to Sunbird building blocks. And much of the builders of those building blocks are in this room as well, right? All of them are here as well, who are the creators and architects of these building blocks. So use this time both to do hands-on learning, and even more importantly, get to know the reason behind the design. So why was it designed a particular way? That is more interesting. As an architect, I would always ask you to ask why behind rather than just what. What is easy to understand, features, but why was that done that way, particular way? He's always more curious because that helps you design into the future. So when you are put into design challenges in the future, you get to use that. So that's primary. You have to go back with absolute hands-on comfort that you can install, use, very comfortable DevOps. I think you have DevOps. Okay, covering all the aspects. Okay, so development and DevOps track. And they are not separate, frankly speaking. If you are a good engineer, you ought to know development, architecting, testing. Is very most of the time we unfairly, or in India's outsourcing culture, IT outsourcing, I meant, somehow categorized testing as a separate one, engineers are separate one, but people like us who come from product world don't separate this at all, okay? If you're writing code, you bloody well test. You can't say, I wrote code, but I don't care about the quality, somebody else takes care of quality. That's a very, very bad way of thinking yourself as an architect. You'll never do well in life, I can tell you. So you have to be designing code, writing code, testing code, and having the ability to understand deployment capabilities or deployment challenges at scale, right? And Diksha, as you know, it's one of those examples of a massive scale that is actually happening. But I would take a few steps before. And why did we even arrive at this idea of Sunbird building blocks? How did we arrive at NDR? How many of was there a session on NDR yet? Okay, NDR and skilling and so on, is because in 2009, and this is very, very important background to understand, telecom had taken off very well, right? So we had feature phones. Smartphones were already launched in, Android already had come out, and a year before that, iPhone. The first smartphone in one sense, popular consumer smartphone were launched. In 2009, India had less than 20% of people banking. So less than 20% of India in 2009 had bank account. 80% didn't have access to banking. So access, keep that word in mind. Access is a huge barrier. If you don't even give the access, how do you get them to leverage that and create opportunity to themselves? Learning opportunities, healthcare opportunities, financial savings and stability opportunities, job opportunities. If access itself is stopped, then it's like no road. Then you can't even go anywhere, right? So it was a very, very difficult, in one sense, this was a situation where we were a rich country. By the way, we were a poor country in 92 when we were opening up with poor people. Now we were already automatically becoming rich country, but we're still poor people, right? So now we are, the per capita is increasing as the digital economy. The poor people, in the sense that poverty has obviously Low-level poverty we have eliminated pretty well, by the way. But still, I mean, you can't have a 2,000 rupee or a 5,000 rupee per capita. We have to increase that definitely much more. I mean, 3 to 4 times is our hope, that 10,000 to 15,000 rupees and so on. So to get to that, you have to open access. Just because you open access doesn't mean everybody will leverage. It's quite like you. Just because you have access to best people in this room does not mean all of you will leverage. It comes from motivation. It comes from internal drive to better. Not everybody comes with it. Some people are very good at it. Some people are slow at it. Some people just not inspired themselves. I mean, nobody needs to be inspired. You're all adults, right, in one sense. So real important part is to give access. But if you didn't even have access to this, even if you are inspired, you won't know how these building blocks are built and why best architects in this room sitting around, how do you getting to know them, getting to pick their brain. So one thing is to really leverage. Access is given to you, you have to leverage. In 2009, we were not giving access. So the identity project, Aadhaar project, when we started, the essence of identity project was to open up primarily two what we call killer applications, as we call. One, opening bank account, because we couldn't even give bank account. If you don't have bank account, what financial inclusion are we talking? What financial stability are we talking? Money kept under the pillow, money taken from local money lender, everything in cash, no access to formal systems that all of us have access to. We can get a mutual fund account, we can get bank account, we can get a job, we get all that formally, right? We are in a formal system. It's called a formal system. So this was the essence of Aadhaar, to open bank account. And then also, because we were already a rich country with poor people in 2009, we were spending 300,000 crore at that time, 50 billion US dollars, 300,000 crores, a lot of money. On what? On subsidies. We were giving subsidies to people. And many of you would have experienced, at least your parents, getting cooking gas subsidy. Almost all middle class families would have experienced it. And then scholarships, girls scholarships, fertilizer subsidy, health subsidies, and many, many subsidies. We have huge amount of money. So this is like saying, imagine government of India was like your company, and you don't know your employees, you don't know who their employees are because you have no ID, but you are spending money. So it's like throwing salary into the air and hoping that your employees are hopefully getting it, right? India was doing at 300,000 crores every year like that. But that actually naturally meant people who had genuinely needed it won't get it. People who had once can get multiple times, because there is no real way to figure out whether you are already getting scholarship, you should be getting one more same scholarship again. Because you can, spelling mistake, spelling and all is not a way to figure out uniqueness. There's no way, right? Pramod is a Pramod. How do you know that who is the right person, right? Maybe two Pramods genuinely also, you don't know, right? So people are getting doubled multiple times. And we have had enough examples of that, even now. UP, we were talking, we still have school teachers and so on. They have not fully cleaned up that system where multiple places the same teacher is teaching and multiple times teachers get the same salary and all that thing, right? Government. The third, non-existent people used to get. In Andhra Pradesh we had. Andhra Pradesh, when we looked at ration shop system, we had Brad Pitt getting ration. Yeah, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt. All the US presidents and heroes, all of them getting, basically it was very hard. At massive scale, if you only have scale is like 10, 15 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, you can actually go physically enumerate them, figure it out, somehow clean it up. But India's scale is huge, 1.3 billion people, then now we are 1.4, the most populous nation in the world, okay? Which is good and bad, right? It's good. Actually, it's not that bad. If it's good, if you can really leverage that young, aspirational workforce very well, all of you, plus many, many people like you, right? If you can really create economic opportunity for you and business opportunity for you to do well, we could be totally dominating. The economy could be totally dominating. But instead of that, if you don't give opportunity, idle mind is devil's workplace, they say. Do you know what it means? It means that if you don't have anything to do, especially men, sorry to say, women are really good. Women don't do stupid things, but men do very stupid things. Okay? And they can get on the road, throw stones, burn buses, do nothing. Right? Because I don't know what else to do. I'm a young, energetic person who has nothing to do productively. So keeping people productive is very key, even for social stability, especially men. Okay? So it is important that we look for opportunity. All this comes to two words: access to opportunities. You will keep hearing that everything you're doing. Why did we do DigiLocker? I'll talk each of them. Stems to that single phrase: access to opportunity. Doesn't mean people will leverage it. We don't know. We hope that people leverage it correctly. Doesn't mean education will get solved somehow. We don't even know what it means to solve education, even today. What does it really mean to be educated? We don't know. It's a philosophical question, right? Is it getting degree? Yeah, that is one way to measure. Or getting some, textbook knowledge is one way. But what is educated, we don't know. I mean, it's a very philosophical thing. Being healthy is the same problem. Healthcare and education falls into these two categories, where the definition of outcome is not obvious. Okay, what is being healthy? We have rich people with well-educated rich people who are unhealthy. Both maybe sometimes inherited unhealthiness and self-created unhealthiness, right? Because of stress and so on. And so it's not connected to money. It's not connected to knowledge. It's connected to a lot of other factors in life, right? So we don't know. But what do we look for? Is what we call, if you are a mathematician, if you study mathematics, if and only if. You have heard that phrase, I'm pretty sure, right? If and only if. You can recall what teacher was telling you in the math class. If and only if is because there are necessary conditions and sufficient condition to achieve something. When we create national digital public infrastructure like Aadhaar, or Diksha, or DigiLocker, or any of this, we are always only trying to achieve necessary condition, not sufficient condition. Okay, keep that in mind. So it is important to understand, it's like Henry Ford. You know Henry Ford, right? The person who created the car revolution. Once said, somebody asked, so training all your employees, but they'll all leave, right, to competitor. So he supposedly answered. You never know whether they actually said all this stuff anyway. But he supposedly answered, I am better off with trained employees leaving than untrained employees staying back. So think about it. It's a necessary condition to train your employees, right? No training is a pretty bad idea because you will have untrained, unqualified employees who won't leave. So it's a very, very interesting way to ask this question. Is it not giving identity is not a choice. Not opening bank account is not a choice. But if you open bank account, will they suddenly turn into financially free people? I don't know. Nobody knows, right, whether it will happen. But not doing it is not an option. That's what I'm calling necessary. So everything we did since Aadhaar is towards necessary condition. Even what you do today is Sunbird, building blocks. You can ask larger questions. Will it change the world and all that? We don't know really it will change the world. But there are some things we ought to do. We must do. Goes towards that access to opportunities. We must ask this question. What we do, does it unlock an opportunity to an individual? Everything we do. Today what Madhu and Sunbird community did, unlocked that opportunity for every one of you. Opportunity only. You can slip through, uninterested, be here, all that shit stuff can happen. But it unlocked opportunity for you. Similarly, what does Aadhaar do? It unlocked opportunity to prove I am who I claim to be. If I say I am Pramod, the other counterparty, whether it's a bank, whether it's a SIM card issuance, Airtel, can verify my identity claim, right? That's all it did. And we did that extremely well. 1.36 billion times. 1.36 billion people have Aadhaar today. And we've done 80 billion authentications. We do 1.5 billion authentications on Aadhaar system every month, by the way. And just using Aadhaar, people are making payments and so on. So people are unlocking opportunity to themselves to do what they want to do. And people will show it in the airport, show it in the IRCTC, the way they want to use their ID card, right? That's what it happens. It opens up doors for them, opportunities for them. What did DigiLocker do? When we started working on DigiLocker in 2013 and 2014, when the new Prime Minister came in, that is when Dr. R.S. Sharma, who was the CEO of Aadhaar, became the MeitY Secretary. And then we said we should do. What was the drive for DigiLocker? Only one thing. Literally only one point. Eliminate high cost, low trust environment for certificate verification, document verification, right? Documents and certificates and credentials. And now the new terminology is what you will hear is verifiable credentials. You know, that's a global terminology. It's not called documents and all that thing. It was how we called it earlier in DigiLocker, but now it's called verifiable credential. What does it really mean? Today, when you walk into a job and say, I have an engineering degree, the other party cannot verify it. They can look at the paper might look good, it might even have a golden emblem or seal, but how do you know that you are not created fake? This is why we have so many fake documents and certificates in this country. In the US, 40% of PhD claims are fake. It's in the US. India and all, of course, we are quite good at it. Okay. What do you mean, man? We live in the gray zone anyway. Yeah, we don't live in black and white. Everything is gray for us, right? How many of you actually stop at red light? No, see, nobody's even lifting hand. Okay, you stop. Okay, you're old man. That's why. Yeah. You're getting older. Okay, women stop. Okay, I do understand. Okay, so you can. Otherwise, we'll start. Nobody is there. It's red light. So why do you have to? That's how we brain working, right? Cop is not there. People are not there. But why is this red light? The red light should not be even here, right? Why are you stopping me? I go through, right? It's amazing. In this country, in that kind of environment, what does it mean? It creates an enormous trust deficit. Enormous trust deficit. And the cost of trust in this environment is so high that if a driver walks into your house saying, sir, I'm a very good driver. I have 10 years experience and I have 4.9 rating consistently. What is you running in your mind? Yeah, sure. I don't know what you're saying. Maybe you killed somebody and showed up here, right? I have no idea what you're doing. I'm not going to put my daughter in the back of this random guy and say, okay, now of course, you have 4.9, very, very good. We don't want to say, because I can't verify any claims made by the other party. DigiLocker's sole purpose, to create high trust, low cost environment for credential verification. We still, even after 7 billion documents in DigiLocker, I was talking to Abhishek Singh a couple of weeks back when I met him in Lucknow, and I was telling him, we are not there yet. We have to really do a DigiLocker 2.0 push. Get everything. Why do we show any paper without a signed QR code at all? In fact, we should be in a situation 5 years from now, hopefully, if somebody gives you a certificate with no QR code, say, what is this? It's fake one, right? That's how our mental model, our whole society should look for a signed QR code, some QR code without which people should start saying, I don't know. This doesn't look genuine to me, right? That would be a good position to be. That means we massively upgrade. And if you convert your data into credentials, that means the fact that you worked in Uber for 5 years, the fact that you are 4.9 rating, the fact that you are a senior engineer at a company, the fact that you are proof of earning, that you have a monthly, your salary slip is the most sought after. You know that, right? All your salary slip, people will come, personal loan, all that thing. Salary slip is one of those thingy that everybody needs it. But just a PDF, you could have cooked it up. Really, there's no proof. The only proof, somewhat genuine proof, is if you file taxes. Because you have to be an idiot to file taxes without actually earning money, right? So, if you have filed taxes, very high chance actually you have earned it. Because chances are that you don't pay taxes. If you're paying taxes, you definitely have earned that much, right? That's what. So, I think our tax filing is actually verifiable. But our salary slips are not. So, we are converting every one of them. Again, what does it do? It opens up opportunities. Why does it open opportunity? When a blue-collar worker joins urban company, a plumber joins urban company, left their previous job and joined urban company, they start all over again, not having the ability to prove that they have a fantastic experience behind them. They are people they worked with genuinely liked them, no history of bad behavior, cheating, nothing. They can't carry their past. They can't carry their assets in the sense, experiences as an asset. Imagine you can convert your experiences and convert your data as an asset. That is verifiable. That's like having property, right? It's like a property document. I have a land, provable land. My data and my credentials and my experiences are all convertible to assets. That's what DigiLocker is going to do. Not yet fully done. But Sunbird RC, one of the building block that you will be probably hearing, is an extremely powerful imagination of that possibility that you can convert everything into a verifiable asset and give it back to the people. When that person now gets it, suddenly I can now, a small plumber or an SME with these verifiable credentials or documents can go to a bank, and the bank now can instantly verify the authenticity of that experience or claims without high cost human being flipping through, checking, background checking. I don't know whether this is true. Get me that original, get me this original, get me one more seal just to make sure, right? All that things what's happened today. So it's a very high cost, low trust. We have to flip it to high trust, low cost. That's DigiLocker. Then we did UPI, which is obvious why we did UPI. Moving money is part of economic activities. Sending money. Sending money should be as simple as sending a WhatsApp message or email. That's what the first line of imagination of UPI was. In UPI, in 2013, we started dreaming of UPI. We said that one line. If you can send instant message and mail that easy, I should be able to send money also that easily. Anywhere, to anybody, to anywhere, right? To any bank, to any bank, to any app, to any app. That's exactly what came through, right, in UPI. So it took time, it takes time. You have to be patient because we are a large society and it takes time to get there. But then we are now converting all the data also as what we call account aggregator network. If you have not been tracking, what are we doing under the data protection bill? Minister has actually promised to table that data protection bill next month in the session. What it means is that every one of you and every one of the billion people can now access their data legally. That means if I am a driver in Uber, Uber cannot deny that driver saying, "Aapka rating, you won't get it. You won't get your rating." By law, they have to give. But at that time, we are coming in as digital folks and saying, don't give it in a PDF or Excel sheet because it's useless. Because it's not portable. You take it and immediately the trust goes away. Because you could have manipulated that bank account statement in Excel sheet. You could have put 3 zeros, I mean, nothing, nobody will even know. Right, bank balance statement. So give it in a verifiable manner through DigiLocker. The moment that happens, we have a very, very powerful effect kicking in. Then we started working on education skilling, health, agri, and commerce. ONDC. I don't know whether you've been tracking some of these ONDC efforts, but I won't bore you with that. But education, I want to spend a little bit of time. Education was primarily driven by the same argument that how do we open up access to learning opportunities? We have 300 million children in schooling system. Entire edtech companies put together today, entire edtech companies put together have reached 16 million. So we have 300 million students. EdTech companies go after 16 million. Even after so much of Byju's and all these guys, ads and Shah Rukh Khan and everybody on the, like telling you get 2 teachers free and all that thing, right? That kind of ads, that's like crazy ads. I don't know why I need 2 teachers first. 1 teacher is a pain. Yeah. Yeah. Now 2 teachers and parents breathing down my neck. That's also going to happen. But anyway, supposedly that ad is useful for parents anyway. So it's okay. Even after all that thing, look at health tech. Tractors of the world, they all have done a good job. They all have, you all are, homegrown startups. Total consumer space. All these health tech companies put together is 12 million people. 1.4 billion people population, 950 million adult population, that is 950, and 12 million is what health tech. So what does it tell you? Is that India's scale and diversity cannot be achieved by just one app or one platform. It has to be achieved by many solutions, many apps, many different approaches coming together. But if many approaches come together in a silo without any connection, then it will be broken, because different people will do different things. So you have to unify them, which is what UPI did, right? Doesn't matter wallet, account, bank, QR code. UPI, by the way, is also used using fingerprint. I don't know whether you know. Same UPI protocol is actually used, all of you are using smartphone obviously, but UPI 380 million transactions using fingerprints were done in December. 384 million transactions. So you can tell people with no phones also use UPI. So when UPI came, what did we do? We created a unifying part of UPI, unifying layer on top of which many innovations can come. And that innovation took from a 22 million people having credit card or 50-60 million people having debit cards to 500 million people today uses UPI. 500 million people. That's huge expansion of access to people, right? Same thing we are looking at in the education sector and health sector. That means if you keep on doing this one app, one platform, you will be at the 10-20 million number, which is what all of us are, basically in the top, cream of the top of the pyramid, as we call it. At best 50 million people, which is 0.5% of the adult population. 0.5, 99.5% is below the, right? It's like an iceberg. How do you get access to them? Is by doing these 2 things. 1, create a unifying infrastructure. In the case of education and skilling, it's called India, with Diksha and many components acting as that infrastructure. Diksha is not to be seen as an app. If you see Diksha as an app and portal, you are missing the point. Diksha is to be seen as an infrastructure with the open APIs that many people will leverage in the coming years, like UPI. So so DigiLocker, now it's finally opened up to many people to embed their own lockers. Paytm has embedded DigiLocker, everybody can integrate API. Aadhaar was always the case, right? Aadhaar was an API play. DigiLocker is an API play. UPI is an API play. And similarly, Diksha and India is also completely an API play that allows unification of identities, unification of assets like credentials and data, which is my assets, and unification of how I interact with transactions. Can I discover a new scholarship without going into some 1,000 different portals? Or half the people don't even know. Recent study shows we have 1,500 schemes that are really useful to people, out of which 50 are used. That's so less that people don't know. How many of you know internship opportunities? How many of you come to know about a scholarship that maybe you are young, but maybe your sister or your siblings have it? You don't know. Tata has scholarship, these guys have scholarship, government scholarship, private scholarship. You don't. So discovery is the third one. Identity, assets, and open discovery. We are creating that as the unifying rail on top of which skilling, education can all transform from like the way UPI did from 22 million cards to 500 million people doing. If we can get opportunity for everybody to come, what could it happen? Is that people could now easily discover better courses, better learning. Doesn't mean they will do. Opportunity. Again, access to opportunity. Equitable opportunity is what we are after. Equity and opportunity, not equality. That's communism, right? That will be very, very hard to make everybody forcefully equal. That equity is what we are after. Equity means you should not be denied of an opportunity that you are supposed to get. So whether you leverage it is your call at the end of the day. But people normally do leverage because they are not stupid. They will want to create economic opportunity for themselves and their families. So they will do. But once you do this, we could be looking at a very, very powerful, exciting future. India could be and capacity building and learning is integral part of that. If you don't know, if you don't have capable human resources, nothing else matters, okay? So in the education skilling sector, is the essence of that education skilling sector is that, to provide opportunity for learning new, and especially with everything changing these days, it's not like that what you learned in school is useful, other than foundations, like basic arithmetic and all is useful. But other than that, most of the knowledge and most of the skills, at least, keep changing, and you are learning every day. Even I, or Nandan, for example, have forced to learn new skills. You are not relevant. The moment you stop learning, you cease to become relevant. Instantly, okay? You can be guaranteed that you're going to go irrelevant. So learning doesn't mean learning computer science. I mean, whatever you're doing, learning has to continue. But how do you get opportunity to learn? How do you get affordable opportunity to learn? How do you get access to internship and apprenticeship and opportunity? Why is it exciting? Because we will be the most populous young nation in the world. And Europe, Japan, all the countries are just growing so old, they have no people. And India is such a democracy, and English speaking, and we have multilingual capability by design, right? Because we are ourselves multilingual, we have to deal with it. So we mix and match language, quite casually, right? So our brain is wired for multilingual, and we are wired for English is a good basic international language we all learn. And young Indian population could mean with 5G technologies, with remote controlled operating robotic arms and all that thing, we could be doing enormous number of services that we have not even imagined today. Like today, Art Park IAS is already experimenting with remote nursing. Nobody to nurse, older people. I mean, nurse means just to monitor. So some people are older people in the house. Sometimes you have to just check their everything, just remind them, and there are help, all kinds of help. Not a walking robots and all yet, but I'm just saying we have enough other supporting. You'll be surprised how much remoting is happening, which is what we did with cloud and now jobs. We are remotely working, right? The tech allows you to be not physical affinity need not be there, other than for human reasons, of course. We are biological reasons for why we want to be closer. Other than that, really we don't need, for work we don't need. It means an educated workforce could be the backbone for the world. In 2047, we are fast forwarding 100th year, we are actually imagining that possibility. And that possibility absolutely will come through if we continue to do what we do in terms of opening up opportunities, remove any friction for opportunity. Only thing should be left to that individual is motivation. If that individual is motivated, they should have access to it, right? Reduce the cost of onboarding, cost of verification, cost of money, cost of interactions, reduce the cost, open up the access. If we can do these two with motivation, we would have a very, very powerful young India, right? Truly. And it's such imagination is, you'll be temporarily you don't know. full story, but it's an extremely powerful story, if you can actually imagine that. And each of you, what you do every day, especially with Sunbird community, and digital public infrastructure and DPG communities, many of you are part of that. The impact of that is enormous. Everything what you're doing, one thing you do well, one line of code you write well for virtual lab or whatever you want to do it in Diksha or whatever you want to do there, could create a massive domino effect. And that domino effect is what we are watching. We are all observing that domino effect and hoping that it creates the right amount of opportunities for everybody. We're removing frictions for everybody, whether it's lending, financial opportunity, healthcare opportunities, education skilling opportunities, job opportunities, commerce opportunity, which is what ONDC is trying to do. Why should SMEs be subservient, or SMEs should be sort of under a large platform like Amazon or something like that? Why can't they directly digitally deal with you? And that's what Bangalore is doing with Yatri app. I don't know whether you have tried Yatri app. You should try Yatri app in Bangalore, Auto Rickshaw app. World's first permissionless peer-to-peer mobility network. That means auto rickshaw driver and you. There's no middle platform. It's very, very powerful. That means we are digitizing that individual, digitally empowering that individual to, whether, maybe they don't want to drive today, okay, they'll say, I won't go and all, that's their call. But there should not be any intermediary in the middle who is taking away huge commissions, in one sense, right, from them, to say, I'll give you opportunity, but you have to pay me a fee for it. That's called intermediaries, right? So we are also normalizing that effect very well. So India is doing so many things. If you start watching these observers, you will see the pattern, how Sunbird, India, Diksha all starts fitting into a much bigger puzzle. Okay? And that puzzle, when they start falling, we will see the combinatorial effect and a massive effect. And we are all very excited about the possibility. I hope you are excited about the possibility. And so that means everything you do today and tomorrow is going to matter. And it must matter as well. Otherwise, why wake up and do the work, right? Of course, you can earn some money, but really, you should be inspired every day when you wake up, saying that, that one thing. So I always ask the question, why are you doing what you're doing? And why are we designing that way? The why is a question as a learner you will always want to ask. Not just what and how. What and how you learn. It's like syntax, right? You learn it. But why? Why is this way different from that? And so on. So okay, I encourage you to ask, encourage you to interact, encourage you to learn from each other and leverage the opportunity as you are here and unlock possibilities for yourself to do better and smarter work later. Thank you.